managing producer for Feldenkrais Access, and I'm really thrilled to be here with you all for the first class of the series, Restorative Rhythms, Feldenkrais Lessons for Health and Pain Relief with David Zemach-Bersin. I went silent because the playback on YouTube started playing in my ear and it distracted me. Sorry about that. We are also joined today by Anastasi Siotis, who is a Feldenkrais trainer candidate. He's joining us from Manhattan. And Nadia Genois, who is a Feldenkrais practitioner in Montreal. Anastasi is here to help if you have any questions or confusions during the course of the lesson today. You can reach out to him in the chat if you're joining us on Zoom. And if you're joining us from Facebook or YouTube, you can write your comment into the comment field that the platform you're joining from, and we'll answer you as soon as possible. And Nadia will be doing the lesson in sitting today. I'll be showing her periodically throughout the course of the lesson. So if you need to translate the lesson into a sitting position, you can see how she's doing it in a chair. And I'll also be showing our team of Feldenkrais practitioners who are doing the lesson along with you. I'll be periodically spotlighting them as a general visual guide about how to do the lesson. And just a suggestion, if you are joining us from Zoom, please have your camera oriented so that David can see your whole self. That way he can direct his instructions to you, his teaching to you. And if you don't wish to be seen, just press the stop video option within the Zoom menu. And that's it from me. I'm going to hand you over to David.
Thank you, Juniper, and welcome to everyone. I'm very happy to be with you today. So, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. This is the first class in our new series called Restorative Rhythms, Feldenkrais Lessons for Health and Pain Relief. Each of the classes in this series is going to be dedicated to discovering how we can use simple, interesting, rhythmic movements to improve our flexibility, our organization, to provide relief from discomfort and pain, and to improve our entire sense of self. These Feldenkrais lessons will improve your posture, your breathing, your balance, and especially your ease of movement. We'll be doing some very unique lessons that I learned from Dr. Feldenkrais, as well as some lessons which I developed especially for this series. Over the course of the series, you'll learn how you can use fundamental rhythmic movements involving rocking, oscillating, alternating movements, rolling movements to improve the health of your muscular and neurological organization and to improve your basic memory skills and learning skills. I'd like to also suggest that these rhythmic movements have been demonstrated to have an extremely calmative effect on our nervous system. And I believe strongly that when we move more in accord with these natural, they are endogenous rhythms, our overall organization will improve, and all of my movements, including including walking, will become easier, lighter, freer, more comfortable, and more pleasurable. Today's first lesson, we will do primarily lying on the floor on our back. And I suggest that you use a mat or a rug or a blanket to make yourself comfortable. If you can't lie on the floor comfortably, then by all means, you can do the entire lesson lying flat on your bed. So just remove any pillows or things that might interfere with your movement. And if lying on your back is not comfortable at all, we are blessed with us to have Nadia Genois from Montreal, Canada, and she's going to do today's lesson sitting in a chair. And so she'll be demonstrating the lesson, and she'll be highlighted periodically by Juniper. Just a few words for those who have not ever done a Feldenkrais lesson before. Feldenkrais lessons are very, very different from any kind of conventional exercise that you've done. We call these gentle movement experiences lessons because our primary concern is communicating with our brain, with the learning centers, the motor centers of our brain, in a way that will lead to great benefit for you. And so we combine very gentle, neurologically important movements with a process of attention to our experience, to our sensory experience, our kinesthetic experience. And in this way, we stimulate the neuroplastic capacities of our brain. And just in this first lesson today, you will have a direct experience of that. So this process helps us to build new pathways that give us new options, that give us new choices for the ways that we use ourselves, feel ourselves, and organize ourselves to move. Just a few more words about the process of doing the lessons. You can create the conditions for your own success and for your learning. And again, I would suggest that these are very distinctive from what we do in normal exercise. And so they're very important to maximize our learning and the improvement that we get from the lesson. We do the movement slowly. We only do what is easy and comfortable, no matter how small that may be. We do our utmost to avoid pain and any kind of discomfort. We make each movement very small. We rest between each movement. And as I said, I'll remind you as we go along of these things. That's my job. Your job, if we can say it like that, is to attend to yourself, to take care of yourself. And if you do have pain or discomfort, then I urge you to use the chat function and to write in. And one of our staff will help you. So again, make the movement slow and small. And we want to, again, we're not interested in working our muscles, but rather in engaging the learning and motor centers of our brain. So, and just to repeat what Juniper said, you don't need to watch the screen, but if at any time you feel some hesitancy, if you are in fact doing what I'm suggesting to you, then you can just take a look at the screen and clarify for yourself. But otherwise, there's no need to watch the screen. And if you feel like you've kind of lost the thread, then again, look at your screen or write in through the chat. I appreciate if you're comfortable having your camera on. I appreciate it. It helps me to get feedback about how it's going, things I might say that could be helpful. But of course, you're completely free to turn your camera off. All right. So with that, let us begin with our very first lesson in the Restorative Rhythm series. And just again, one more word of preface, which is that I personally find these lessons that we'll be doing in this series incredibly powerful and useful to me. So that is part of the reason that I am excited to bring the lessons to you, to offer them to you. So to begin with, please lie on your back. And we will just take a moment to sense our relationship to the floor and our perception of ourselves before the lesson, so that we have some guide for coming back to at the end of the lesson and sensing in an objective way the difference. So begin, please, by sensing the contact with the floor of your right foot, your right heel, the outside edge of your right foot, your perception of your 5 toes, feeling how maybe it's easy to feel your big toe, but then as you move outward towards your little toe, the clarity of your perception of the toes is different, of each toe is different, one from the other. The sole of your foot and the top of your foot. And in this way of just directing your attention, you continue your lower leg, simply sensing the contact of your calf with the floor, what we might call internal contact with ourselves, but there's also external contact, meaning, or exteroceptive, meaning the sensation of your calf, the pressure of your calf with the floor. So internally, you can feel the temperature of your leg, the feeling of your musculature. Then there's behind your knee, and then your upper leg on your right side, the back of your upper leg, the inner side of your upper leg, the outside of your right leg, upper right leg, And then there's the contact of the right side of your pelvis with the floor. And all the while, there is something that's actually more important than this perceptual investigation of yourself, and that is that you breathe. So just allow yourself to make breathing, however, can be shallow. We're not making any effort, but you allow that breathing to be primary. So there's no need to hold your breath. It's very interesting that we find that many people, when they turn their attention inwardly, they automatically hold their breath. And now notice, do you already perceive just a difference in sensation or feeling between your right leg and your left leg? Just not from moving, but from just sensing yourself. And now do the same thing with your left leg. Begin with your left foot. That's right. The arch of the foot, the sole of the foot, trying to perceive the distinctiveness of your toes, one from the other, the space between your toes, the top of the foot. And now your left leg, the lower left leg, again, alternating between this idea of internal contact with yourself and more external. The feeling of the cloth touching your leg as opposed to the internal feeling of your musculature. And if you can allow the floor to support you a little more. And the back of your knee, you can feel there, the back of your knee for most people is not touching the floor, but then you move up a little bit towards your upper leg, and you can feel, oh, there's the contact with the floor again. And you feel the width of your upper leg and in all four dimensions, the front, the back, the inner aspect, the outer aspect. And then your left side of your pelvis. And now compare how the left side of your pelvis is resting on the floor compared to the right side of your pelvis. It's not the same. One side is tilted a little more. And now slowly move your attention up your spine. And we're doing all of this in a non-evaluative, non-judgmental way. That kind of judging ourselves gets in the way of learning. It makes learning improvement more difficult. In other words, we could say, you are okay just as you are lying on the floor. But we just want to observe how we're lying before we begin the lesson. And you can feel the middle of your back, your spine is very clearly touching the floor. And then behind your neck, there's a little space. And the back of your head, which is, of course, an extension of your spine. And then there's your left shoulder blade as it lies on the floor. Just where is it touching? Where is it not touching? And your right shoulder blade. Rare is the person who's lying with the shoulder blades resting on the floor symmetrically. In other words, identical to each other. Rare, very rare. So you feel for yourself, which shoulder blade is more in contact or less in contact? Which shoulder blade maybe feels wider, larger, or smaller? Which shoulder blade maybe feels higher, meaning closer to your ear? And then there's your left arm, your upper arm, your lower arm, your left hand, and your right arm. That's it. Very good. And now just put your hands on your lower abdomen and observe, if you can, how your lower abdomen rises a little as you inhale and falls a little as you exhale. Again, nothing exaggerated. Nothing you're doing is for an effect. Quite the opposite. And now, just turn your left leg a little so that your toes go toward the ceiling. And then let your leg go, return. So you roll your left leg in such a way, you turn your left leg in such a way that your toes go toward the ceiling. And see if you can do that without interrupting this simple, easy breathing that you're doing. You just roll your left leg so your toes go toward the ceiling, and then you relax and your left leg goes back. That's it. Without any change in your breathing. If someone were to have their hands on your lower abdomen as you do, they wouldn't feel any change in your breathing when you roll or turn your left leg so that your toes are more forward toward the ceiling. And now bring your toes toward the ceiling and stay there for a moment and flex your left ankle so that your toes come closer to you. So you roll your left leg so that your toes are toward the ceiling, and then you flex your left foot and let go, and flex your left foot. Just a small, easy movement. I'll say it again. Your toes are toward the ceiling. If your feet are towards the floor, the movement is much more difficult. We want to do the movement in such a way that and I will help you, that we will eliminate the compressive force, but that's of the flexing of the feet. That's right. Just flex your left foot as you exhale. See if you can do that. As you exhale, you flex your left foot. And now feel, is there a difference in your feeling, perception, sensation of flexing your left foot if you look down towards your left foot with your eyes? See that. See if you feel a change in the sensation of the bending in your ankle of your left foot, if you look down towards your foot as, that's right, as you flex the foot. Beautiful. Now, a couple of times, look up as if you were looking at something that was above your head, on the wall that's above your head, not forward, but above your head. And you look up there as you flex the foot and notice if you feel a difference. And do that a few times, just slowly, as you exhale. Beautiful. And now look down again and see if you can make a distinction, if there is a distinction to be felt. Okay, rest for a moment. Just observe your perception of your left leg. Does it feel longer or shorter than your right leg? And now turn your right leg from where it is around itself, so to speak. You turn around the axes of the leg. You just turn your right leg. The entire leg turns in order for your toes to face the ceiling, and then you let go, and your right leg turns back to what you might call your neutral. Your neutral, my neutral are different, but you just allow a cessation of work. That's right. And you exhale as you roll your right leg to orient your toes toward the ceiling, your ceiling. That's right. And now stay there and slowly begin to flex your right foot. And then you say flex your right foot 2 times or 3 times, and then rest your right leg. Let it go back to the neutral. Your neutral. I don't mean a particular place by any means. And now do that funny thing that we did with a couple of times. Look down toward your right foot as you flex, shorten in the ankle. It's slow, not quick. Nothing quick that we're doing. Not at all. The slower you do the movement, the more information your brain will be able to detect, distinguish. That's it. As you exhale, and now look up with your eyes as if you wanted to see something above your head. That's right. Just what's easy, simple. You keep feeling where you can do less, where you can allow yourself to fail. We actually desire to fail, to do less, to eliminate the effort that's linked to trying. Okay. And now look down again. That's nice. Good. Okay, please rest. Just observe your breathing. And now bend your left knee so that your foot moves up the floor. Your foot moves up the floor about just an inch or two, or 4 or 5 centimeters. That's all. You just very, very slightly. That's right. Very tiny movement, but your knee is bent and toward the ceiling. Your toes are toward the ceiling. That's right. And now from there, make that little movement of flexing your left foot slowly. Some will find it easier to do with, again, you only, for the North Americans, you just bring your left foot up, say 2 inches. For the rest of the world, maybe 4 or 5 centimeters, that's all. And from there, you flex your foot and then let it return and flex your foot. Do it 3, 4 times and then rest your left leg. What we don't want to do is do the movement in such a sustained way that we fatigue ourselves. Fatigue is the great adversary of learning. Okay, rest a moment. Just notice if something's changed in the left side of your lower back. And that is something important for us, that the changes, the improvement is something that happens spontaneously. Spontaneously because you have such an intelligent brain that is so capable of improvement, learning. You have a brilliant brain. We don't need to do something to force the change, the improvement upon ourselves. It will happen just as a result of you sensing and feeling yourself. Bend your right knee just very slightly. Again, the heel of your right foot comes up 2 inches or 4 or 5 centimeters. And now slowly from there, you flex your left foot. That's it. Very small. But put your hands, bring your hands back to your pelvis and see if you can feel something, which is that when you flex your right foot, something changes in your pelvis. That the right side of your, that movement of just that tiny movement of your foot, that it transmits up your right leg. It's a force that travels up from the ankle to your lower leg, to your upper leg, to your hip joint, and then something changes in your pelvis, that your pelvis tilts a little bit, doesn't it? Very good. Please rest again. Of course, you can rest as often as you want. Now, we'll do what we're doing some of the times with our legs straight, some of the times with our legs bent a little. And in that way, hopefully, the advantages of one will influence the movement in the other situation. For some of us, having the legs straight is easier. For some of us, having the legs bent a little bit. And now, just keep your legs long this time. Orient both feet toward the ceiling. and then let go of your legs so they return to the resting position, and do that a few times. You turn, roll your legs around themselves so your feet go towards the ceiling, and then you just let go. And again, put your hands on your, that's right, on your pelvis, your lower abdomen, and see if you can feel that movement of your legs turning inside your hip joints. That's it. And then you let go completely. Plop. That's it. And do that quickly, maybe smaller, but quickly. Blop, 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 blop. Good. Rest a moment. And now orient both feet so the toes are toward the ceiling. That's right, both legs. And now flex and extend a little both feet simultaneously. That's it. And let go. And flex, bring your feet closer to your head, closer to your shins, and then let go. And flex, then let go. That's it. And notice, again, what do you feel with your hands? Can you feel that your pelvis is very clearly tilting and that your lower back is going closer to the floor? You feel that? Of course, you do a few movements and then you rest. And then you do a few movements and you rest. That's it. Okay, rest a moment. Now, do that again. Turn both feet so the toes of both feet are towards the ceiling, and very slowly now, much more slowly than you were just doing. Just flex both feet and notice that one foot, it feels lighter. The bending of one foot is lighter than the other. See if you can feel that one foot, we all have one foot where this particular movement is simpler, easier, lighter. Now, what I'd like you to do is see if you can make the movement of that foot smaller so that the sensation from both feet is more similar. So the foot that's lighter, you do a little less, so that the foot that was less light feels more similar to the foot that was lighter. Beautiful. Now, bring both feet up the floor just a couple of inches or 4 or 5 centimeters. So both knees are towards the ceiling. That's right. Both toes are towards the ceiling. And do the same thing. You flex both feet and you just see if you can begin to make a distinction about one foot being a little lighter than the other. And rather than trying to improve the less easy foot, the less easy ankle, don't try to improve anything, just try to match the sensation so that you make the movement of the easier foot smaller. Just slowly. And again, is that movement transmitting all the way up to your pelvis? And maybe it's going higher than your pelvis. Is that possible? Is the movement going up to your lower back, your middle back? All right, please rest. Such a simple movement. And you'll see that for all of us, we begin the lesson with a lot of that movement being absorbed, a lot of the force of that movement, as small as it may be, being absorbed by our skeleton. And you'll see how in the next minutes, more and more of that movement will be converted into movement of your entire self, meaning it won't be absorbed internally. And this is an extremely important idea. For healthy movement, force passes through us, passes through our skeleton, rather than being absorbed by us, absorbed by our skeleton. Okay. Now, turn your head to the right, please. Turn your head to the right in such a way that your right ear is facing the floor. That's it. And organize your legs are about shoulder width apart. Organize your feet to be toward the ceiling. That's right. And now go ahead and flex your feet and let go. And flex your feet and let go. And you just do that 3 times, 4 times, and then you rest completely. And put your hands on your pelvis. And just notice if that movement is traveling up one side of your pelvis more than the other. Just do what's easy, slowly. Good. And stop for a moment. Bring the heels of your feet up a little bit on the floor, a couple of inches. That's right. So your knees are toward the ceiling. That's right. And just do that from there. That's it. And you let go completely between each movement. And you exhale. Beautiful. And rest a moment. You see, the important thing is we don't need to do each variation very many times. The way in which each movement is not so dissimilar from the previous movements, but it is different enough that it attracts the attention of our brain. Turn your head to the left, please. As far to the left as you can easily. Orient your legs so your feet are toward the ceiling. And just flex your feet and let go. And flex your feet and let go. Just slowly. And just feeling throughout yourself, where can you reduce your effort? Your hands, your arms, your throat, your jaw. That's it. And now Bring the heels of your feet up a couple of inches only, a few centimeters, and now do it from there. That's it. Good. Feel how you flex your feet and you feel the transmission of that force up your pelvis, your lower back, maybe even a little higher. Maybe a little higher. Okay, please stop. Stretch out your legs, bring your head back to the middle, and notice we've been going for, we're maybe halfway finished with the lesson. Do you already feel a difference in your contact with the floor? Organize, turn both legs, and, well, no, just your left leg. Just turn your left leg. And now see if you can do that movement of flexing your foot and letting go and flexing your foot. And you can do it a little quickly so that you begin to feel that your pelvis is rocking a little bit. So you go blop, 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 and then you rest. So you blop, 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 and then you rest completely. And each time before you begin, you turn your left leg so your toes are toward the ceiling, and you blop, 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 blop. That's it. And you just let go everywhere else. Good. Now, stop for a moment. Bring your left foot up the floor. Bring your left heel up the floor. Again, 4 or 5 centimeters. And now do the same thing from there with your knee bent, your knee toward the ceiling. Blop, 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 blop. And then you stop. So you don't tire yourself. Or if you feel that there's any fatigue in your left ankle, you stop. You stop after just a few movements. But otherwise, blop, 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 without interrupting your breathing, and while still letting go in your abdomen, your jaw. Beautiful. Stretch out your left leg. Feel the left side of your lower back compared to the right. And of course, now do the same thing with your right leg. Turn your right leg so your toes are toward the ceiling, and see if you can make this kind of oscillating movement. Blop, 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 so that you feel the movement of your heel getting longer and shorter and longer. You can feel the movement of your heel against the floor, and you feel, oh, that my right heel now gets a little longer and a little shorter. And if you have trouble with your knees, or you have very hyperextended knees, well, of course, if you feel any discomfort doing the movement with your right leg long, you can just do the variation with your right leg bent slightly. That's it. That's it. Blop, 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 blop. So they're not separate movements. It's just dot, 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 dot. Good. Please rest. Now organize both feet to be toward the ceiling, and go ahead and flex and let go, flex and let go, flex and let go with both feet. So you feel, and put your hands on your pelvis and see if you can feel that rocking, and then you rest. You just do the flexing, extending, I don't know, 4 or 5 times, and then you rest for a moment. And we do it only 4 or 5 times so that you can refresh your attention, and you can feel each time as you do that, something is beginning to rock. So you rotate, turn your legs, your toes are facing the ceiling, and blop, 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 blop. Just slowly, easily feel where you can relax your hands, your arms. You find some of you are holding your breath. See if you can breathe easily. That's it. And you find that that movement is evoking a rocking, unless you interfere. For example, go ahead and inhale a little bit and hold your breath while you do it. Hold your breath and feel what happens to the rocking movement. Does it get easier or less easy? You see, just that holding of our breath, which we all do when we feel apprehension, anxiety, you find, oh, that transmission of that rocking is affected tremendously. Okay, rest for a moment. But once we reduce the effort enough that that tiny bit of force that's produced by flexing and letting go in the ankle, you find that the reorganization potential of that rocking is phenomenal. Bring your heels up, again, 2 inches or so, or 5 centimeters. And now see if you can produce the rocking from here. So blop, 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 blop. And see if you can do so little, make the movement much, much smaller in such a way that you feel it's not distinctive movements. It's not distinctive movements of being pushed up and then going back down. No, it's an alternating rocking. So put your hands on your pelvis and see if you can feel the rocking there. That's it. And maybe now you can feel the rocking up to the middle of your back. That's it. Very nice. Or maybe you can feel the rocking movement going up to your head. That's it. Can you feel the back of your head moving a little bit? All right, let's everybody rest for a moment. Now, bend your left knee so that your left knee is just lying on the floor. Your lower leg is still lying on the floor, but you bend your knee kind of like a frog leg. That's right. And now orient your right foot toward the ceiling and just do that oscillating movement from your right leg. Blup, 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 blup. while your left leg just rests with the knee lying near to the floor. It doesn't need to be touching the floor. That's it. And now bend your right knee just a little bit. So we bring it again, just a couple of inches up, and go ahead and continue. But we're doing this variation because many of you were contracting one foot. That's right, when the other foot was flexing and extending. Good. Stretch out your left leg. Just observe the feeling of the left side of your lower back compared to the right. Bend your right knee. So your right leg is bent, but your right knee is toward the floor. And now go ahead and orient the toes of your left foot toward the ceiling. That's it. And go ahead and plop, plop, plop. So your right leg is completely absent of effort. You probably all have seen many, many infants and how they can't close or clench one hand without closing the other hand. That's right. Blop, 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 blop. Good. Rest for a moment. And now bend both knees very slightly so that only the outside edge of both feet are facing the floor, but the feet are, I don't know, 10 centimeters apart from one another, maybe a little more. And now go ahead and use the outside edge of both feet to create that rhythmic movement. So you flex, that's right, blop, 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 blop. That's it. Push the outside edge of both feet into the floor, gently, of course, slowly, just a little. It takes very little, doesn't it? It takes the tiniest bit of effort. Because why? Because now all the movement is traveling through your skeleton. Can you feel that? All right, rest again, please. Now, we'd like to see if we can create an independence of the movement of our head from the movement of our pelvis. So that's a high order, because so far, everything we've done, the movement has been simply allowed to pass through our skeleton and down our skeleton and up and down. So now turn your head completely to the right. That's it. Organize both. Oh no. Tell you what, bring your head back to the middle. We'll do it a different way. Bring your head back to the middle. Orient both feet toward the ceiling. And begin that rocking. And make it smaller. Please make it smaller, simpler. And you, every, I don't know, 4 or 5 movements, you rest. But now as you do that, breathing easily, you begin to turn your head to the right, only a little bit, without affecting the movement of the rocking, without affecting the flexing and extending of your ankles. So just slowly you flex, and then your feet extend by themselves very nicely, and blop, blop, blop. That's it. But as you do that, you turn your head very slowly to the right. So in other words, there's many movements of your feet for each movement of turning your head. In other words, there's no syncing of the movement of your feet with the movement of your head. You sustain the movement of your feet, blop, 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 as you very slowly turn your head to a little bit, a tiny bit to the right. Or maybe if that's difficult, just move your eyes to the right. And you'll see that just moving your eyes to the right is already enough to create a change in your back. That's right. Blop, 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 blop. And you very slowly turn your head. But you turn your head in such a way that the movement of your feet or ankles doesn't change. That's why you need to make the movement of your ankles slower and smaller. Beautiful. Please rest and just observe the right side of yourself compared to the left side. Just that little bit made a change. And bend your knees just very slightly. So the heels of your feet come up the floor just a couple of inches. That's right. I'm trying to alternate between centimeters and inches. And now, again, you create that rocking, that oscillating movement, blop, 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 and you just turn your head very slightly, or just move your eyes very slightly to the right. That's it. The idea is that there's an independence to the movement of our head, which is essential. It's essential for easy walking. It's essential for fluid movement, that there's an independence between the legs and the pelvis and the turning of your head. Blop, 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 and you just turn your head ever so slightly to the right. Just the intention to turn your head to the right is enough. All right, please rest. Observe, is one shoulder blade lying closer to the floor? You see even the turning of the eyes, the turning of your eyes to the right, change the relationship of your right shoulder blade to the floor. And now, again, turn your legs so your toes are facing the ceiling. And you set that very slow blop, 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 small movement. It's a tiny movement of your ankles now, much less than when we began. And now begin to turn your eyes and head to the left ever so slightly. Doesn't need to be a big movement, not at all. And of course, what's the most important thing? The most important thing is that we breathe, that we relax our abdomen and our throat. That's it. Beautiful. And bring the heels of your feet up on the floor and do it that way. Blop, blop. That's it. And the idea is to be able to turn the head ever so slightly without interfering with the rocking movement. And you can put your hands on your pelvis and feel how your pelvis is, with each flexing of your feet, blop, 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 blop. And of course, even the intention to turn your head to the left, you can feel changes your chest. That's right, your lower back. Good. Please rest. Observe your contact with the floor. That movement of your lower abdomen as you inhale that we noticed before we started the lesson. You see, it's not just that the lessons reorganize us, make it easier to move in a simple, coordinated way, but the lessons change for the better the state of our nervous system. Bend your knees normally, as you would. The feet shoulder width apart. That's right. And now bend your feet so that only your heels are touching the floor. So that only your heels are touching the floor. And see if you can use your heels pressing, not your feet, but your heels press into the floor and you rock. Blop, 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 blop. So your knees are bent almost normally. That's it. And from there, you make a very small movement. Blop, 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 blop. You don't need to flex and extend your feet. You just use that pressure of your heels against the floor. Blop, blop, blop. That's it. Okay, rest a moment. Good. Again, please bend your knees almost to normal, meaning your lower legs are at about a 100-degree angle to the floor. Your feet are separated about shoulder width apart. And now you bend your ankles so that your toes and the soles of your feet are not touching the floor at all. That's right. And now see if you can again begin that rocking movement just by pushing your heels. That's right. And now very slowly, turn your head a tiny bit to the right and then back and then a tiny bit to the left. That's it. Just slowly. Blop, 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 blop. That's right. That's right. So that your head is turning right and left independently of that rocking of your pelvis. And relax your abdomen, your mouth, Maybe if you allow your mouth to be open a little bit, the movement will become a tiny bit easier. That's it. Nice. Good. And now maybe go a little faster. Blop, 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 blop. That's it. Blop, 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 blop. All right. Please lengthen your legs. And one last time, go back to what we did to begin with, to just turn your legs, both legs, so that your feet are toward the ceiling. And just make the smallest movement of flexing both feet. Blop, blop, blop. And see, how is that compared to when we started? Is something freer, something lighter, something easier? Blop, blop, blop. And relax your mouth and your throat. That's it. And you can go a little, make the movement smaller but faster. Blop, 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 blop. That's right. Very good. Please stop. And very slowly, would you please bend your knees and slowly roll to your side and slowly come to sitting and then to standing. Just take your time, your time. That's nice. Take your time. And please slowly come to standing and just observe, again, with that same non-judgmental relationship to yourself. You just observe. Do you feel a little taller? Are your shoulders a little higher or a little lower? You take your time. There's no rush. Can you relax your abdomen a little? And walk around and just feel if something feels different in your hip joints. In the lightness or the sensation of your legs. And if, come back to stand and notice, is there something about this rocking and this flexing of the feet that has changed the relationship of your heels to the floor? Are you more aware of the contact of your heels with the floor? I say this because in standing, 70 to 80% of our weight should be over this back part of our foot. And for you to feel that that's changed spontaneously. We never said something about changing the way the weight would come over our feet or asking you to do anything deliberately. It changed spontaneously without you willing it to change or trying to change. And that's the power of combining those two things of attention with sensing and feeling ourselves. That's where the magic happens. All right. I wish you all safety and health and safety and health for everybody in your family and everybody that you care about and everybody that may feel more precarious today than a week ago or a month ago. All right.